Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Who doesn't love a puncher? Okay, especially a Mexican one. So step forward, Eduardo Nunez, who moves to 23 wins, 1 defeat on points. All 23 of his wins are by knockout. And when I say knockout, I haven't seen all his fights, but I imagine most of them are by KO, not TKO, because this kid can whack. Eduardo Nunez, Orthodox fighter, Mexican, 25 years of age. He was facing the undefeated Jesus Martin Ceyca. And Ceyca's 28 from Mexico, 5'7", but he hasn't got that Mexican style, Ceyca. And it was really weird because at the start, the fight started and Ceyca was sort of bolt upright, boxing very much, quite fleet-footed, but banging the jab, but firing his punches he was almost like perpendicular. He very rarely moved, bent, not much bending at the legs, not a great deal of swaying at the waist. And Nunez, with all that power, he was probably thinking, oh, my Christmases have come early here. Because in the first round, he was chasing after Ceyca, and you could just tell, even though Ceyca wasn't hurt at any point in the first round, you could tell the styles were such that Ceyca was going to be hard pushed to stay out of the way of that power for 10 rounds. And in fact, he didn't. He didn't at all because it ended up, it ended up in the second round. Ceyca was hurt. He sort of, you could see his legs, because he's quite tall, thin. You could tell him kind of swaying in the wind, almost like a sort of reed blowing in the wind. And you thought, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Well, I'll tell you what happened next was Ceyca got pushed to the ropes, and Eduardo Nunez, again, Ceyca bolt upright on the ropes, hands high. He had a high guard. He wasn't committing fistic suicide, but you could see Nunez positioning himself, looking for the right hand, and then bang, it came over and it caught Ceyca right on the side of the jaw, and he was out. Long before he hit the canvas, he was out. The moment that punch landed, a split second afterwards, he was separated from his senses, neurologically kaput. He hit the floor, bang on his back, underneath the ropes, sort of right by the side of the ropes. His head ricocheted off the canvas. It was a bad knockout. Exciting, but it was the type of knockout where you go, ooh, and you cringe a bit. Yeah, this kid can whack. Eduardo Nunez. Take a look at him. This was on the DAZN card from Mexico. Eddie Hearn was actually doing the commentary. I don't think I've heard Eddie do any commentary before. Maybe I'm wrong, but he actually predicted this. He said, no, Ceyca's an accident waiting to happen, and Nunez, we're going to see a knockout here. The question was, when was it going to be? Was it going to be with the next punch? Was it going to be in the next round? Was it going to be in the last round? Nunez has that type of power. He'll threaten you throughout the entire fight. And the interesting thing about Nunez is he does have a defeat on his record. But that was very early on in his, I can't remember, it was one of his early fights. I'm going back to 2018. He lost a unanimous decision over 6. But when you consider that this kid's 25, let's do a quick bit of math. He was 20 at the time or something like that. It's a learning fight. And I didn't really recognise many. I looked at his record before I watched the fight, and I didn't really recognise many other well-known names at all. But he's fought consistently. He's fought in Mexico. I think all his fights have been in Mexico. And with these Mexican fights, you just never know. There's so many hidden gems there. Eddie Hearn said during the commentary, or it may have been post-fight, he said, look, a lot of these Mexican kids, they're really good, but they just don't get the opportunity, so you never hear of them. That's absolutely true. Because if you look at his last 2 fights against 2 guys I've never heard of, I think one of them was 12-1 and 1 draw, and the other one was like 10-1, and he's knocking him out. So, and again, Ceyca came in. He was the one with the undefeated record. 17 wins, no draws. I think he only had about 7 or 8 KOs though. So there's just so many good fighters in Mexico. Go and have a look at this on DAZN. It's really, really worth. It's obviously it's a completely one-sided fight, but it's worth looking at this Nunez kid because I think he's going to tear up some trees. And just what is he, a lightweight? No, I think he's a super lightweight actually. lightweight or super lightweight. But yeah, go and have a look at it. It's on DAZN. It was the chief support to Fierro Estella, which was the main event. And tell me what you think. Leave your comments below and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you're new. You know it. Help the channel out. Subscribe, like the video. And yeah, tell me what you think. We'll speak again soon. Bye for now.